no one seems to be moving forward.
We live in a very reactive society. People only give a toss about stuff if it affects them.
We don't need more awareness. We need solutions.
There's no difference between someone having a knackered shoulder and having severe depression.
We can't just keep denying everything. It's real people, real stories, real effects, and we need real change. Not every scaffolder's okay. Check your mate. Please donate 5, 10 or 20. Latte, don't buy it, donate. Let's sort out mental health in scaffolding. Please support and take care, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the surgery. Guess who's back? Back again, Mr. Jason Gibbs, popular as ever. Now, we're not talking about scaffolding this week. We're going to talk about mental health. It's a big thing, very serious. And it's something that Jason and I are very committed to. We're all one phone call, one breakup, one diagnosis, one job loss, or one bad night away from ending up in a place we never thought we could reach or go to. Suicide. It's not for weak people. It's not for other people. It doesn't care how tough you are, how successful you look, or how well you hide it. The most dangerous lie in society is believing it could never happen to you, your mate, your brother, your sister, your work colleague, or the bloke laughing beside you on site at this video. It can happen to anyone. No one is truly safe from it. And until we start understanding just how close every one of us really is to the edge, when life hits hard enough, we will never take mental health and suicide seriously enough to stop burying people too early. It's harsh. It's real. Well, Jay, there's my opening. What do you think? Where are we at in society?
I think that mental health, it's in its infancy stage. I think obviously the mind is a lot more complex for most parts in the body. I think years ago when medicine and stuff was being developed, even back to sort of the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was just a lot easier to sort of like, what's the word? It was a lot easier to diagnose people that had physical ailments because they could kind of tell you, you know, and a lot of the time if you've got a dodgy back or you've got a dodgy ankle, you can kind of see, you know, you can touch it, you can prod it, and you can see the reaction of the person who's suffering. Can't really do that with someone's mind, you know. So I think mental health is it's not as far ahead of what it should be, you know.
No, agree. I have a real problem at the moment. It's a thing that's starting to really wind me up, is the term mental health awareness and Mental Health Awareness Week. It's great, brilliant, great initiative. It's done its job. Everybody's aware that there's mental health issues around the world, particularly in constructions. Scaffolders, we suffer like mad. We don't need more awareness. We need solutions. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to repair the damage that goes on in here. It's a lot easier for your body to repair. You know, like I was crushed by a lorry, I'm still here and I'm still alive. What goes on in here is dangerous and very difficult to deal with.
Yeah. I think the mental health awareness weeks is virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Just virtue signaling.
Yeah.
So look how righteous we are. Look how good we are. Look how pure we are. We stand for this. And it's, I mean, I'm sure I've seen things online where you'd have posters up for like mental health awareness. People walking past posters on the way to get in the sack. You know?
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's just lip service, a lot of it. You know, it's a way to... Yeah, it's a virtue signal. It's a way to announce your self-righteousness to this fake world that we live in.
Yep. Social responsibility, corporate responsibility, box ticked. We put a post on LinkedIn. We've got a policy. We've got a procedure. 6 people died on site last year by killing themselves. We don't have to record those figures. Nobody really knows about the stress and the pressure. We'll just roll on. Everything's fine. It's not going anywhere. No one's, mental health first aiders. There's one. I'm one. Fully trained and all that. Right. Did a 2-day course. Brilliant. Right. And all I do if I'm a mental health first aider is I signal someone, signpost them to go and get help. That's it. Let's be honest. That's all it is. It's just, you have got a problem, mate. I've listened to you. Well done. I can't help you. I haven't done any counselling. So what I'll do, I'll tell you to go to the Samaritans. I'll pass that problem off to a charity. And that's a strategy across the UK. Other places in the world don't even have that strategy. So I'm not slagging off the UK. Globally, no one seems to be moving forward. And no one's realising that, and I understand this, it's not just construction, it's not just scaffolders, right? I care about scaffolders because I'm a scaffolder. I care about construction to a point. I'm not so sure about brickies, but I work in construction. It's my living, etc. Right? So there's a little bit of humour, everybody, because this is quite a heavy subject, right? Sorry if that offends brickies. I can offend plasterers, electricians, whoever you want, but I'm not going to. But what we're not doing as well is coming up with a place of good where people are actually getting counselling. People are actually getting the help, or there's proper structure and procedures in place. Well, maybe NASC, like they've got the SG guidance on mental health. It doesn't go anywhere near far enough, but maybe we should be training people in how to counsel people. I've done addiction training now. I've done some counselling training for myself. I'm dealing with a few people. I've been dealing with people for the last couple of years on and off and chatting. I genuinely want to help people. I've had the black dog myself, and I don't understand where we're going. Because the other thing with a mental health first aid is someone unloads on them and they signpost them. Who looks after the mental health first aid is one of my questions, particularly if you've only got one in a company of 20.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to that? But they're going to burn out.
Yeah.
Or even worse, what happens when they go on holiday? The whole there's only one. Well, where's he gone? He's gone to Bahamas for 2 weeks because he's shattered. Cole, don't be ill for those 2 weeks. Don't have a mental health crisis because there's no one here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you think about it, it's utterly insane.
Yeah, it's so much more needs to be done. And I come across as a bit wishy-washy. At the end of the day, it's not. You wouldn't, if someone had, I don't know, if he's working with, say, we use scaffolding as the basis of our chat today, because we're scaffolders, that's what we know, it's what what we've ever done. So you've got a workmate who's working with you and he's got a dodgy shoulder. Unless you're, I'm going to try not to swear, but unless you're a cunt, you're not going to.
That's definitely swearing.
Yeah, you're not going to force your workmate to start humping gear. His shoulder's fucked. Right, you're going to say, "Come on, I'll do that." You go and do that. Or there's no difference between someone having a knackered shoulder and having severe depression. They're both problems. Yeah. One's physical, one's mental, and in the long run, the mental ailment, they'd say depression for argument's sake, that can lead to bad things. It can lead to people killing themselves. But all you get, no doubt, we'll get it on this podcast. You'd have people that would go, "Look at these fucking wishy-washy, whatever," and all this bollocks. And it's like, no, it's like start
your head and all that crap.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's like start trying to think that if someone's suffering with something, if their wife's left them, or if they're, what scaffolders are like, struggling with drink, struggling with drugs. I still think a lot of it is due to the pressure of the job. It's a release, high risk, high danger, high stress job. I know we all laugh and joke about it, and there are plenty of times you're putting up a house front and it's a piece of piss. But there are times when you're putting up a fan and you're hanging over a main road, and it's like, there's procedures in place that should be used, and you've got to sign onto your rams. Half these rams ain't worth a fucking rub. They're just generic. Generic rams irritate me because the risk assessment's bad enough, but the method statement, risk assessment method statement is what RAMs are. The risk assessment's bad enough, but the method statement, you're not going to have the same method statement, methodology of work, putting up an independent scaffold as what you will doing some bridging beam work. You're just not, So it's our way of working is not set up to account for all the stress and the dangers and the risks that we go through, a lot of us go through every single day. And it does have, it might not be an instant, toll on you, but over time that builds up, especially if you have a near miss. How many near misses are there a year? Hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah.
How many get reported?
Yeah, never reported.
Hundreds of millions. There's been plenty of times I've dropped a fitting. I've dropped a fitting, the fitting's come down, bounced, whether it is in a car park somewhere. 5 minutes later, a woman's come along in a pram. I'm like, you build them up over years. Yeah. And it is something that needs to be taken more seriously, especially in scaffolding. Because we are like, we're the superheroes. People can take the piss out of that all they want. I don't really care. We're the ones who people come to. You go on site. You've seen it. You go on site, and the site manager says, even though everyone hates us, the site manager says, I'm glad you're here. I've got this problem over there. They don't ask no one else. They only come and ask the scaffolders to come and sort them out. So we're under a lot of pressure.
And it's all building.
Mm.
Yeah. It builds in your mind. The stress. You've got other pressures. So like we've got the cost of living crisis and other, whatever you want to label it. Iran war, basically everything's costing more, wages aren't going up. The scaffolder's under pressure there. He's got a family. He turns to mental health release, as it were, and that's where the addiction comes in. Like not all scaffolders are addicts, etc., but certain addictions people don't even mention, and everyone thinks scaffolders are on drink and drugs. Brilliant, yeah. Scaffolders are addicted to going to the gym nowadays. Scaffolders are on their phones gambling thousands of pounds because they want to pay for a holiday, and they're addicted to gambling. They're addicted to steroids. They're addicted to going to the gym. Forget saying all the time that all scaffolders are cokeheads and alcoholics, right? Because we're not. That's a vision from the past that people still perpetuate for gags, shits and giggles online. I get that, right? I don't approve of it. I think as well, there's many layers of scaffolding. You've got, the bottom end, and then you've got the top end of professional firms, etc. But at the end of the day, the pressure is slightly different each phase. Like you said, front and back of the house is slightly different dealing with the public. And then you go on a site with full exclusion zone. You're in Canary Wharf doing a hangar, but you're on level 85.
Yeah.
Floor 85 at the very top of the building, one slip and you're gone. That kind of pressure needs release. And you try and get these mechanisms and these coping mechanisms, and it might work for you, it might not. But what if it doesn't? It's like, oh, well, that's your problem, mate.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow. We just drop people. We don't care. And people don't want to talk about it because we're roughy-tufty scaffolders and, look at those two idiots. All right, I'll have a look at those two idiots now chatting away, like the one with the girly long hair and the other one who's bald. What the hell do they know? But that's the pressure again. Another pressure in life is social media.
Yeah.
I see videos all the time that apparently if I get up at 5 a.m., I'm okay. If I get up at 6 a.m., I'm a pussy. Because people who get up at 5 a.m. are the ones that will succeed. And this is being young people especially. Yeah. And I have to stand in front of the mirror for half an hour, do positive affirmations, right? If I do that, I then go to the gym for an hour and I don't have a shit till 11 o'clock in the morning because a shit is a waste of time. Sorry for swearing again, but what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's one strategy for one, but it's not a one size fits all. I don't think everybody who does that is going to be a millionaire, successful and happy.
No.
But you're being sold a dream that's the cure.
Yeah. See, I do subscribe and I do like the idea of something. I did a publication on it called the Wellbeing Triangle. And it's something I'd like to introduce later on down the line once I get my sort of ducks in a row. But, I mean, I understand that having a positive mindset, being physically fit. I mean, I can't say I've been physically fit. I've put on a load of weight since I stopped scaffolding. I never was a fucking stud muffin. I always was a little bit big. I was solid rather than sexy. You know what I mean? But I've put on a load of weight since. Yes, I drink alcohol. I probably drink too much. I'm still eating like a monster. I'm still drinking like a monster. I'm still in that habit as if I was on the tools, and I was still burning off all them calories and all that sort of stuff. But I think and it's something I've got to get my head around. I need to take more take seriously my physical health more seriously than what I do.
Yeah.
Mental health. So the idea of the well-being triangle is it's mental health, physical health, and spiritual well-being. Again, it's going to come across as wishy-washy, but we at the end of the day, especially men, we're men. We for all human history, we've had a purpose. And people can say, "Oh, that's sexist." Now, our purpose has been to provide and to protect. And people can say, "Oh, that's an old-fashioned way of thinking." It's the old-fashioned way of thinking that's been the thinking of the entire world from about the 1970s all the way back to when cavemen were running around. Back to when humans were running around on four feet rather than 2 feet. That's how things are. But men need a purpose. You see this with veterans. They're in the army. Their life is regimented. They get up at a certain time. They do a certain thing. They clean their boots all the time. They clean their weapons. They make their bed immaculate, perfect, and they've got that structure to their life. They leave and they're lost. They're lost. They don't have a purpose, and it's that will then lead to other problems, drinking, drugs, etc. So I think what I did in publication, the Wellbeing Triangle, is very important to have those three parts: mental health, physical health, and spiritual well-being, all in line and in sync and aligned with each other. Because that's the best way, really, that you can have a fulfilling life. Sorry if I got a bit waffly there.
No.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that works for you. That's what I mean. So if that works for you, that's good. It doesn't work for everyone, but it works for you.
No.
So affirmations every morning doesn't work for everyone. Because of my Asperger's, etc., I find it very difficult to speak to people generally. Believe it or not, even though I'm doing a podcast, and I don't actually like many people. I don't like people, and I found it hard over life. And I've got older, and I've developed masking and strategies, etc.
Mm.
So that's a pressure I deal with. But for me, when I get depressed, I get depressed quite happily. Whoa, everybody, yeah, God, I'm not immortal. I quite happily admit it. I do get depressed, and it locks me in, and I don't always have a way out. I do now, because obviously, I got Bruce. I talk to Bruce in the van. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. I speak to him every day. He's here now on the floor. We went for a walk this morning. So we went for a walk at 7:30 this morning, up onto the forest. Yeah. We're up there for half hour to 40 minutes every morning. I can't walk him more at the moment because he's only 10 months old, but it's building. It's actually building my physical fitness and my mental stability all the time. That works for me. Now, hitting drugs doesn't work for me. It sends me far worse places after, going to be blunt, tried it when I was younger. Not always the best thing for your mental health. Some people need prescription drugs. I'm going to be honest. Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's always one size fits all, one size fits all. And we go to mental health first aid, one size fits all. I've got a policy. Well, that's okay. We've ticked that box. Having a chat about your mental health is so frowned upon, particularly in scaffolding, and yet we all need to get it out in the open. We're all aware it's there, and there's no let's fix this problem, and the problems are getting worse and worse. Young people have a different kind of problem, like we said, social media, things like that. We didn't grow up with that. We didn't have those pressures. I've got my sons, different ages, and they're fully aware of social media, etc. Far better at it than me. Yeah, I'm just an old fart. But they're not turning to drink over it. But they might smoke marijuana. Now, is marijuana a gateway drug? You know what I mean? These things, again, then their mental pressures build my mental pressure. And it's a circle and a vicious circle
Yeah.
I find it hard to talk to them about mental health. I really do. And I think the older I get, I've got to. I am trying. We have had chats like boys and that. Bloody hell, it's hard work, you know. And I don't have the solutions, but I think as a society of scaffolders, right? So again, back to scaffolding, we can all help each other. We are the world's greatest trade, and together we're stronger. I bash that drum. I know I do, because I actually believe it. But I think we all need to help each other, and I'm not talking about the scaffolder on the scaffold as well. I'm talking about the owners of firms. I'm talking about the trade bodies. Everybody across the world come together and try and come up with strategies. And if it works for scaffolding, brilliant. You can start helping other people as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like bits of the jigsaw. There's your little jigsaw. I don't know. In our world, you know, like it's a Fisher Price first jigsaw of like 5 pieces. It's quite hard for us. We're scaffolders. We're thick, everybody. You know, like that idea.
Allegedly.
And we get to the 1,000-piece jigsaw, the 5,000-piece jigsaw, and the 5,000-piece jigsaw could be the globe. You know, I am a dreamer. I understand that. And I know that we're going to get bashed for this pod. But we can't just keep denying everything. It's real people, real stories, real effects, and we need real change. You can't keep losing people.
Yeah. Things do need to change, and powers that be need to do more. Yeah. They're not doing as much as what they should be doing. They should be promoting this sort of stuff. I mean, ultimately, I spoke about, obviously, we spoke about in the last podcast, bullying in scaffoldings. There's a difference between bullying and banter. Simple as that. And we can all have a laugh, you know. Sometimes we're not in the mood, oh, fuck off, mate, like, you know, just give us a break. But there is a lot of bullying in scaffolding. There's that tough guy image, you know, and that also paired with people's, it seems to be an epidemic now, rapid decline in mental health. That might be something that would discourage young scaffolders either getting into the game or staying in the game. You know, I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but I wonder how many people have got into scaffolding. You know, yes, it's physical graft, you know, and you know, and you could argue people nowadays don't want to work as hard as what they used to work. I mean, I'm of the opinion it's like we broke our fucking back, broke our ball bags. You know what I mean? We busted our arse every single day of the week. And I've personally got the battle scars to show. You know, I don't know many other people who can't straighten their arms. That's my arm straight. It's like a 45-degree angle, like both of them. My wrists are fucked. I'm getting to the stage now, I can't even hold a bowl of soup or a bowl of cereal. I've got to hold it like a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, with a cloth over my hand, like I've got some kind of like weird, you know what I mean? Like, and it's, we've murdered ourselves, you know? But as much as we're coming out with, you know, hoists now and better ways to manage manual handling, obviously NASA's got SG6, you know, and people are now starting to understand that cranes need to be brought in to do the physical part of the job. There's just not enough being done about the mental part of the job. And I do wonder whether the attitude around mental health in scaffolding, the stuff like the bullying, you know, and that sort of stuff, and the beasting people get, well, they don't want it nowadays. You know, everything is tailored nowadays.
No, it's definitely changed. I mean, you know, we're speaking from a UK perspective, and like the way scaffolders in the UK are trained now, etc. It has changed a lot in the last 30 years. It's not the same. Part of me thinks yes, it's great. Part of me thinks the bit with the banter, you know, like proper having a laugh banter, where you know you called your mate a cunt, but like it was a term of endearment.
Yeah,
and it's just. Has some of that gone out now? Because I've heard on sites of people being told off for talking while they're working. You know, like what madness is that? You know, we've just had the hot weather. There's another one, another stress factor, right?
Yeah.
Where site rules are, I was on a site, you got to wear a long sleeve top. The only ones I've got, like pretty much for work, are hoodies. I don't have long sleeve t-shirts. I didn't think about it. So I got a hoodie on. I've got nothing underneath. I've got my high vis on. I've got a harness, gloves, glasses. I just sweating, and it was in the morning. I finished luckily about 11:30. I just missed midday. I got in a car, and the car temperature gauge said 32 degrees. And I'm thinking, like, bloody hell, I've only been in it a few hours, you know. And luckily, I'm walking on the scaffold. I've got, like, well heavy phone, you know, doing my report. And I remember back, I've been on glass buildings, like, the pressure and the stress is unbelievable. And that affects your mental health again. But because the site says this is the PPE, that no one can be dynamic, no one can work out that the risk of that PPE and someone collapsing on the scaffold or someone dropping because they're fatigued, a 21-foot tube, is a greater risk than he might cut his arm.
Yeah.
It's across the board. Safety, like, so mental health, I think of with safety, etc. We mentioned RAMs. Nothing's ever in RAMs about mental health and taking a break. No, God, no. The RAMs are written allegedly for the person doing the job, but if you put something like that in, the main contractor will take it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all lip service, you know, and nothing's dynamic. And we need to move to a world where risks are assessed there and then. If it's hot, can I wear shorts? If it's over 29 degrees, do you know what? The risk is greater. You can wear 27 degrees. I don't know. What, do you know what I mean? But have a think. Can he wear a T-shirt? Yes. So if he's wearing a T-shirt, he could wear shorts, really, couldn't he? Because it's like their limbs and there's exposure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's lots of dust, why does he have to wear glasses when you can suppress the dust? There's dust suppression, dust extraction. PPE is the last resort. We know that. What we don't even have, though, in mental health is a last resort other than, here's the number for Samaritans. I hope you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, what film was it? There was a film that was just like, he just explained it. Elysium, Matt Damon film. So, the premise of the film, and it shows the sort of world we're moving towards. Premise of the film, the Earth's knackered. You know, all the elites are living up in a space station, up in the higher orbits, higher atmosphere. And everyone else is just on the Earth doing the most dangerous, worst jobs ever. There's no safety. Matt Damon gets completely overwhelmed with radiation, and he's in a lot of trouble. He's basically dying from radiation sickness. And he goes along to this automated. It's almost like it's basically like a hologram, if I remember rightly. And it's a doctor, and he goes, this happened, that happened. The doctor's like, you have 72 hours left to live. Please take these pills. Have a good day. You know. And it's the total world that we're moving towards. I mean, and that's a dystopian. A film where like the good guys win at the end and all this sort of stuff, but we don't live in the world where the good guys win in the end. We just live in the world where things get progressively worse, it seems. So we're already in the stages of that world where there is no, there is nothing other than lip service. You know, there's nothing other than virtue signalling. And it's something. It does need addressing. You know. I've been going on about it for years. You've been going on about it for years. There's a few other people that have been going on about it. But for the most part, people don't really care. You know, we live in a very reactive society. So people only give a toss about stuff if it affects them. So I don't want to get into politics and stuff because it's not what we're here for. But if something happens to someone's kid, then they'll be upset about it. Other than that, it's like, I'm all right, you know. And we live in this reactive society where people are generally very selfish. And we need to be more proactive as a society.
I think that's a massive thing to hit on there is, so like scaffolding generally, no matter where you are, like I've worked, you know, across the world now. I deal with people from across the world and the problems are the same when you speak to people. It's very often just reactive, not enough planning, not enough actual real world experience of we've done this before, we had this problem, so let's plan. No, it'd be fine, it'd be all right in the night. And you are right. I do think that's just scaffolding, you know, like we can slag off scaffolding because we're scaffolders, you know. Someone else wants to slag us off in the comments, brilliant, but by the way, it's the world's greatest trade and up your ass. But planning is everything, and getting things right. And we don't have plans for when people are struggling, and we don't. Nothing's proactive. So, I mean, sending someone to the Samaritans, right? Other charities like Lighthouse and stuff are out there. We know that. But, like, that's just signposting that you've got an, it's not helping them. It's not actually helping before the problem is too much. And that's a massive problem in society. It's a massive problem across construction. I can't believe that we're getting this far down the line that there's lots of issues with mental health. We don't record the figures, by the way, in the UK. Brilliant. Well done. People kill themselves at work. We don't need to know that. That's fine. We won't record those figures. Someone breaks their leg. You've got X amount of time. You've got to report it by law. Someone has a nervous breakdown because of the stress and pressures of... No, we don't care. You know, it's like, okay, but if we started getting that data, we could plan things maybe, or we could look at things. Is it when you're training? So, like, we have apprenticeships. They're not great, but this today, we're actually going to talk about mental health, you know, like, and the kids are all like, oh, Christ, whatever. But get the information in it, maybe at schools. Schools just talk, you know, they talk about bullying, they talk about, like, social media a bit, obviously, like, and things like that, but not enough about it's going to happen. If it does happen, you can do this.
Yeah.
Come off the phone. Close your account, suspend your account for a week, or talk to your parents. And if you build those strategies through life of talk to your parents, unfortunately they're dead, but it's talk to your mate. Yeah, just check on your mate. Just make sure your mate's... I don't know what the answer is. This is such a complicated subject. We know that. But unless we start the conversations and we actually try and fix things, and if it, you know, God forbid someone's a guinea pig and the strategy doesn't work, you know, and they're, at least you've tried. At the moment, it seems to me no one tries. I've seen people online, you and I know there's people in scaffolding, very successful online, etc. Let's start the conversation as a hashtag, and they do fuck all.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we can all, you know, I've got the hashtag Dr. Scaffold, DR Scaffold, brilliant. But it doesn't mean I'm the doctor of mental health, but let's try and have a conversation and help people. You have to really invest in the idea of things go wrong to fix them and to try and plan for them not to go wrong, which means you've got to admit there's a problem. And I think mental health awareness, it's almost like we're admitting it, but we're not admitting it. Do you know what I mean? It's like there is a problem, but it's in this box and in this folder over here, and HR have done this lovely policy, so it'll go away.
Yeah.
But are you mad? Not going to go away.
No. I'm quite big into it's behavioural based safety. And I appreciate whether it's a theory, I appreciate it quite a lot. So
I've done a couple of courses on it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's BBS is what it's short for. So behavioural based safety. So essentially, apart from the obvious issues that can be caused by those struggling with their mental health on a site, it's a hypothesis that by someone's mental health condition, that it can affect their actions. Not always consciously, but it could effectively affect their actions on site and get them to disregard basic health and safety procedures and that are in place to keep them safe. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand on companies where it's I'm not digging people. I'm just simply talking from experience. And it's not always the gaffer's fault, you know, and the company's fault, because you can only, as the term is, you can only piss with the cock you've got. You know, you can only work with the scaffolders you have available. And, you know, like I've said for years, you could have the best operating system, the best lorries, the best logo, the best yard, the best this, the best managers. If your scaffolders ain't up to scratch, you're in a lot of trouble. So I think it's something that companies do need to start taking a bit more seriously themselves, without the powers that be getting involved. Is something like behavioural based safety, where if you've got a particular gang or you've got a particular scaffolder, let's say your top scaffolder, your top bloke, he's on the best money, he's got the most respect, kind of gets away with a little bit more than the others do because you need him. You know, that person, you know, is not a a monolith, like, you know, he's a human like everybody else. So there's only so much pressure you can put onto one person to constantly come in and save the day.
Yeah.
You know, get that job up. That job has to be done in 3 days. Why is that? It's only 3 days money on it, you know? And it's that constant pressure can cause even the best scaffolders, the strongest, physically and mentally most strongest and efficient workers and the best scaffolders possible to eventually break. And that
Everybody's got a limit. It doesn't matter whether the limit's here or down here. Everybody's got a limit. It's their own personal limit, and there is a breaking point, and there is burnout and pressure and stress, particularly now. Again, you know, whether this is a recession in the UK or not, people can and ah. The race to the bottom is definitely active. People are undercutting each other just to keep the blokes working. That's lovely. In principle, I sort of think sometimes keeping the blokes working, well done. But now we're not earning any money is also a pressure of you've priced it so cheap. You put the base plate on the floor. I've had it with a manager before, like years ago, right, and that, oh, we're losing money on this job. Like, are you having a laugh?
Yeah.
There's 5 of us here. We've put one base plate, one soul, but are you taking them in? Oh, well, you have to work Saturday for regular money and you'll have to do a full shift. Otherwise, we're never going to get any money on this job. And, like, you're really going to have to push through, try and cut your breaks, all the stuff, like, and you just look and you think, mate, if I put one base plate on the floor and you're losing money already, yeah, you fucked up. You've priced it wrong. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
I do, again, there's people that sit in the canteen all day. There's the ones that wander around site and don't give a fuck about their mates because I'm all right, Jack, I'm getting paid for for going for the toilet for an hour every day at 3 o'clock rather than working until 4 and coming. We all know that. So I'm not saying everything's bosses. Not everything's the designer's fault. The estimate. It can all add up, and that one person's breaking point is reached. They're broken. Now, that doesn't have to be permanent. Somewhere along the line, they can come back. And they can come back stronger. They may come back weaker. They may come back stronger. You've got to have something in place to pick that person and support them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
like if you break a leg, it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. If you are a company and you've got, I don't know, 20 blokes, and I'll say blokes rather than people, you know, I talk like the scaffolder. You've got 20 blokes and you've got two that you can rely on. And I've been on companies where there's been rivalry between the two best, you know, and they don't even really like each other. And it's like, they've got to be better. And
that's normal.
Yeah, but there's so many companies out there that like it, where they've got, say, 2 blokes and they work in their own gangs and they get kept apart. They don't really like each other, and it's this bravado stuff and that. But they've got the weight of basically, I wouldn't say an equal amount of stress and pressure as the person who owns the firm, that's put their entire life savings, got their house on the line, you know, are the ones sitting there answering the emails at 10 o'clock at night, you know, are the ones opening the yard in the morning at 4 o'clock, you know, maybe not, but actual on-site pressure, they've got so much put onto them. And I've seen literally companies or people who own scaffold companies who have lost their best bloke because he's just got, you know, I've had enough. And you've seen them. I've seen these blokes nearly in tears because they understand the ramifications of that, losing that scaffolder. And then, I'll give you a new van. Here you go. Here's a folder of all new vans. Pick any van you want, you know, there's your new van. And I'll give you £350 a day. And I've seen scaffolders go like, look, I'm out. Like, he's offering me the same amount of money, but I'm not got the pressure. And they go and work for a firm around the corner on exactly the same deal, you know, and it does need to, as I said, behavioural-based safety really needs to be taken seriously, proactively.
I think you've hit upon something there as well. Like, we've both owned firms and stuff, like, and run them. And I do think that's another aspect that isn't considered of, and like devil's advocate, I know, like, but not just the blokes on the tools. Being an entrepreneur or a business person, whatever you want to call yourself, running your own business, the stress and pressure of that it can be insanity. Make or break, chasing people on a Friday because you can't pay the wages.
Yeah.
You know? And you can get every excuse you want over the phone from the other people, and it's like, mate, I don't really care. I sold my car last week. I sold a wedding ring last week to pay the wages. This week I can't. What do I do? That responsibility as well. That's a massive pressure. So if we get mental health strategies right, like the business owners need help.
Yes,
Everybody needs help.
everybody needs help.
It's terrible.
A new service and communication on wellbeing is being launched entitled Silent Voices. Led by Mick Shaw, Silent Voices is a powerful message about mental health and wellbeing in the construction environment. Over to you, Mick.
Hi, my name's Mick Shaw. I'm a new member to the safety team here at Align JV. Along with my normal day-to-day duties, I've got a really, really important message what I want to get out, and I really hope everybody takes their time to listen. Last year alone, 507 hard-working men and women took their own life in this industry because we felt we had nowhere else to go. Out of all the industries in the UK, construction is number one for suicides. 507. We have to get this number down. We must change it, and we can only do it together. I hope you're going to be with me on trying to do this. I'm a very simple guy, but I think I've got a way how we can do it. We dress up in high-vis orange or yellow, we put our rigger boots on, we have to feel a bit rough, a bit tough, and the reality is nothing at all like that. We work a lot of hours together each week, but we'd still sometimes rather trip someone up than pick someone up. It needs to change. We would rather stand back and snigger rather than go over and help. But we just need to be a little bit kinder, a little bit friendlier, a little bit nicer, a little bit more like we're like when we're not in this orange IVs. When we're just brothers, dads, sons, uncles, sisters, wives, mothers. We need to change. 507 silent voices last year tell us we need to change, and we need to do it now. 507 silent voices are relying on us to do something. Thank you for listening.
For even more context, there were 31 deaths from construction accidents last year, which is indeed a terrible statistic. But suicides in our industry add over 16 times more deaths. 16 times. That's 2 more dead today. 2 more every day.